Hello, everyone. Welcome to FaceTime Languages. Today, I want to talk about a kind of new trends that I've been seeing in the language learning community online over the past few months, and that is an app called Drops. You see that? You get the reflection of my light there. Drops. This is something that I only saw for the first time not too long ago. But now it's all over the place. I see it everywhere. I saw Ophelia Vert, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Ophelia just did a review on Drops like a week ago or something like that. I didn't even see it till this morning until when I was just preparing to do this live stream, and I happened to see that. I saw Lindsay Does Languages do a review on Drops, so it's becoming this new big thing in the language learning community. I've been seeing a lot of people posting about it on Instagram and stuff, so I thought I would give my opinion on it. So I've been doing Drops for probably less than a month. I started it more than a month ago, but I haven't been doing it consistently throughout that time. And so I guess I'll just say right off the bat, I'm not a huge fan of it. Okay. But just like every other language learning platform I've ever reviewed or talked about on this channel, there's positives and negatives, pros and cons. You got to take the good, the bad. Everything has their place if you know how to use it and how to prioritize your time. And I will definitely say right up front, Drops is definitely not an all-inclusive language learning system. Okay, it's not even designed for that, right? That no one's under the impression that you're just going to start using Drops and then speak fluent Tagalog, right? And they're not even making that claim. So this is not going against them. It's just an observation. If you're learning a language, you definitely need more than Drops. So there are some good things that I do like about Drops, and I guess I'll start off with that because I want to start with a little bit of positivity. Okay, so first of all, for those who don't know, maybe I should just give you kind of a brief on what it is and how it's used. So it's essentially a flashcard app. But the really nice thing is they show you pictures on these flashcards rather than English words or words in your native language. Okay, so I would say it's similar in a lot of ways to Memrise. All right, so I'll just show you an example here. Here they have the square root sign. Let me try to get that reflection out of your way. The square root sign, this I'm doing French, and you have to choose the translation, not the translation, just the word in French for a square root. So
la racine carrée.
It's la racine carrée. All right, here we have a violin or le violon. So you have to spell it out. And there's actually no typing exercises on Drops. It's very simple. So you just kind of spell it out here, violon.
Le violon.
Le violon. Here we have un tambour, or le tambour, if you want to use the definite article. So if you can see what that is, le tambour. So that's just the basics, the basis of it. It's a very simple app. It's not flashy. It's not, to me, it's not anything really groundbreaking. Okay, it just gives you these very nice, simple, clean illustrations. And that's it. Just what you saw there is basically the gist of Drops. So it's very aesthetically pleasing, I would say. It's very, very simple. That's one of the top things about Drops. It's very simple. And in fact, they limit you, if you're doing the free version, they limit you to only 5 minutes a day. So it's not a huge time commitment. You're not going to get overburdened with language learning on this app. And it's not, it's not stressful. You're not worried about getting wrong answers or losing points or anything like that. You just slowly make your way through learning words, and it's kind of nice. Now, that's a lot of positive stuff I've said about it. Hello, Valmorian. Valmorain. I don't know how to say that. Sorry. Valmorain says, I just tried it. Didn't like. Yeah. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and I think it's an okay app. Definitely not groundbreaking. Definitely not revolutionary. In my opinion, is not really better than Memrise. But there are a few things that I do like about it. I'm going to continue using it. I've been using it in French. I do have the premium version. It wasn't very expensive. It was like 30 some bucks for an entire year. So I don't know, $3 a month or something. So I just went out and bought it because I wanted to try. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Everyone was talking about this new app called Drops, and everyone's posting about it, and I'm seeing it all over Instagram and everything. So I thought, what the heck? I'll just get a subscription and see what the fuss is about. It is just nice and kind of pleasing, and it's very easy. It's very simple. I'm not stressing out about it. I'm not, doesn't take a whole ton of mental energy. I feel like they put a lot of effort into making it very, I don't know what you'd say. It's just a very smooth process. It's not like Duolingo where, I'm worried about losing my hearts or about moving back if I get the wrong answer, or you make one typo and then you get the whole answer wrong. Memrise does very much the same thing. Anki, on the other hand, is, if you don't know what Anki is, it's not a quiz. So you're not worried about getting the wrong answer when you flip over your flashcard. You judge yourself. How well did I know this word? And so you get to choose between 1 to 4. 1 being I didn't get it right or I didn't know it, and then 4 being I was very confident in my answer. This feels very similar to that, and it's low stakes. You're not watching your health bar move down every time you get a wrong answer. It's just very simple and easy. One thing I really do like is that they use these little illustrations, right? They use pictures. Oops, let me pull it back up here. So here we have a picture of someone clapping their hands rather than the English word applause. Okay, and I like that because it's not forcing you to translate from your native language into your target language. You're going straight from the concept itself into the target language, the word in your target language that you want to learn. There's a drawback to this, is that the drops system really only works well with nouns. Okay, they do include a few verbs that they can kind of illustrate easily. A few more abstract concepts is very limited in that sense, and a few very basic phrases like I verb, I walk, I hunt, I eat, but other than that, it doesn't work very well with abstract concepts or adjectives, verbs. It's mainly noun based, which I find to be very limiting. And that to me is the thing that sets it well behind Memrise or Anki. Because in Memrise, I can put in whole phrases, right? I can create my own flashcard decks courses, and same thing with Anki. And those are two huge factors for me because while Drops is very nice and elegant and just kind of aesthetically pleasing and simple with their nice, simple illustrations, there's only so much that can do, right? Another thing that I was going to mention about the Drops that is really nice, that is probably one of the main reasons that drew me to it, is they have quite a wide range of languages to choose from, which is not something you see all the time in the real professional pre-made courses, right? Like Duolingo is starting to get a good number. Link, I think, has a decent amount now, maybe like 10 language or something. But if you're using Drops, you can learn Arabic, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, Danish, Dutch, American English, British English, Esperanto. Not a whole lot of these popular language courses have Esperanto. French, German, Hawaiian, Hebrew, Hindi, Hungarian, Icelandic, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Norwegian, Polish, Brazilian Portuguese, European Portuguese, Russian, Castilian Spanish, Latin American Spanish, Swedish, Tagalog, Thai, Turkish, Vietnamese. So one of the main reasons that I did decide to start using Drops is because they have Thai. And I've been looking, and there's not a whole lot of resources out there for Thai. So that was definitely one thing that caught my eye. With that said, Memrise and Anki both have pretty much any language you could want. Right? I haven't gone looking for like Algonquin courses or I don't know, Urdu courses on Memrise, but I'm sure they're probably on there. Probably Anki as well, because on these platforms you have user created content. All right, and you have to be a little bit careful with those. Like, you don't want to just trust some random Joe online who created a Memrise course, but it does give you a whole lot more variety to choose from. Whereas this, you can be pretty sure that when they're putting the effort and the time and the money into creating professional apps like this, you can be pretty sure that the information they're teaching you is going to be pretty good. So you got your pros and cons. Memrise does have a set of official flashcard courses that they've created on their own. I'm not sure exactly how many languages they have that for. Some languages, I'm sure the more obscure languages probably are just user created content, but it's still there. So that's basically everything that I wanted to say about Drops in a nutshell. I'm going to continue using it. I'm going to continue trying it. I've been doing it with French for, I don't know, a few weeks, maybe a month. And so far, there's nothing about Drops that really stands out and makes me want to use this over any other language learning method. I'm going to try it again with Thai later this year, and we'll see how I feel about that. Because there's a big difference between me learning French through a given app or me learning Thai through a given app, right? I'm just basically just trying to learn new vocabulary and trying to improve my fluency at this point in French. But with Thai, I'm starting from scratch, and it's a totally different ballgame. Esperanto Variety Show says, "Whoa, just joined and missed your whole honest opinion." Well, you're gonna have to go back and watch the video, I guess. But like I said, it's a totally different ballgame between learning language where I'm, maybe a B2 level or something. I'm in the B's versus language where I'm brand new at, like Thai. Um, one of the things that I always talk about is learning vocabulary. That's important, right? I feel, to me, it's more important to know a lot of vocabulary than it is to have your grammar 100% perfect, right? Because even if you mess up on your prepositions or something, or you miss the article, or you get your noun cases wrong, people are still generally going to understand what you're saying as long as you have the vocabulary to express it, right? If you have perfect grammar, but you don't know enough vocabulary, then you're really going to struggle to communicate the things that you want to say, even if you can say those things very well, a very limited number of things. So I love vocabulary building apps like this, like Memrise and Anki, because that's something that you never stop learning, right? I still learn vocabulary all the time in English. Okay, I have not arrived at learning new vocabulary, right? I've in Spanish and in French and well, obviously in English, I'm well beyond the point where Duolingo can help me with any of that stuff. But Memrise, I can, or Anki, or potentially Drops. I still have a lot of stuff that I can learn in any of these languages, right? Because there's always more vocabulary to learn. Esperanto Variety Show says, Aaron, here's what's on my mind lately when it comes to vocabulary. Does it make sense to learn vocabulary in context so you remember context? Or does it make sense to memorize tons of words and then mentally look them up when you need to? Yeah, that's, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Exactly, yeah. There's different schools of thought. There's a debate to be had, and some people fall strongly on one side and some people fall strongly on the other. I always think, do what works best for you, but try both methods, right? There's definitely something to be said for learning words in context. Okay, there's a lot of situations where I'm learning French or Esperanto or Spanish, and I am in some situation talking to a native speaker or something, and they use a certain word, and then I ask them about that, and then I have that memory of learning that vocabulary word at that spot and that point in time, and then every time I need to use that word again in the future, I can think back to that specific situation that I have in my memory, and it helps it, cement that word, that vocabulary word, a little bit better in my mind. Whereas if you're using apps and stuff out of context where you're just learning just the word, like in Anki or in Memrise or Drops, you're not going to have that context like you had, that you can think back to when you're learning words in real life, in real context, or on Link or something like that. The benefit of using these pure vocabulary apps is that you can just plow through tons of them. And at least for me, I do notice myself a lot of times finding words on my flashcard apps and then instantly starting to see those words everywhere. And it's like, how did I spend the last 2 years learning French having never noticed this word? And then all of a sudden I see the word one time, it shows up in my Memrise deck. And then all of a sudden I see this word everywhere. Like this word has existed for my whole life, right? Or since like the existence of the French language. This word didn't just come into existence when I first saw it on Memrise, but somehow I just ignored it for all these years that I've been learning French. So it's really interesting how that happens. And I find it very valuable to do both methods. I try to learn in context as much as possible, but then you're limited on just the sheer mass amount of vocabulary that you can plow through and drill yourself on. So that's all I really have to talk about today. If no one else has any other questions, comments, concerns, additions to what I have to say, then I'll end this one. It's a shorter live stream today, about 20 minutes. Okay, Bill Moraine says, context is the only way to learn or it won't stay. Read books for words. See, I disagree. I do think context is very important. It is very important. It's very helpful. It's very useful to learn a word in context. It does make the word stick a lot better. But the problem is you're not always going to be in situations where you can learn words in context, right? Those are just the rare lucky occasion. You can try to create more occasions by, you know, having more and more conversations with native speakers, but you really just have to kind of rely on chance, right? You have to rely on starting a conversation and then hoping that a new word comes up that you can learn through context. Whereas if you're using drops or something or memorize, you know, I personally would recommend memorize or Anki over drops, but, you know, do as you wish. If you really enjoy drops, then I totally support that. If you're using one of these apps, you're going to be starting to be exposed to new words every day, 10, 15, 20 words a day, depending on how seriously you're taking it. And then when you discover these new words, now you have words to at least ask about when you're in conversation. Quizlet, yes, Quizlet is another one that's very nice. And then when you're in real life situations, in a context, you can ask people about, hey, what does this word mean? You know, or you're hanging out with a native speaker. You say, hey, I read this word on my vocabulary app, and how would you use it in a sentence or something like that? You know, so you can do combinations of these things. But I highly recommend, and I very much support using apps in or out of context for just learning lots of vocabulary. So I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys again in my video next Monday.